All right, Sort of Sports Podcast, episode 118. It's me again, Ryan Klinger, joining you. As I just want to state before we get into the NFL topics of the day, Colorado is on the path to winning the Big 12. This week we play Kansas. Next week we play Oklahoma State. Both those teams have losing records. We have a winning record. Just want to point out that my Colorado Buffaloes are probably going to be in the college football playoff. Most likely going to win the Big 12 and be in the college football playoff. So not exactly an outcome I think a lot of people expected at the beginning of the year. I think a lot of people are ready to hate on us, and deservedly so. I would not say that, Dion and Shador are without things to hate. I think each of them have done some things that I don't 100% agree with, but at the same time, I have really grown a fondness for them, and there's really nothing bad you can say about Travis Hunter other than the fact that, Genty might be Heisman over him, though. And it's yeah, Travis would be an awesome Heisman, but Genty's doing crazy stuff. We have to give it to Genty. So, it's been a really fun college football season. I just think everybody was so ready to dog on Colorado and be like, oh, they're not as good as we thought. And then they actually were good. And so, no one really knows what to do. Because they're like, oh, we were waiting to be like, ha, 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 blew up in your face. And it's actually really good. And, I just think it's funny the way it's turned out. I think the way this ends is with us winning a playoff game and then everybody being like, whoa, this is a big deal. This is a big team. There's a reason we hyped this up last year. There's a reason Dwayne Johnson was at College Game Day at Boulder. There's a reason almost all their games have been nationally televised, and we're going to be back in the public consciousness. At the moment, we kind of faded out of public consciousness between Cam Ward and the Genty. Right now, we're just the Genty Travis Hunter debate. That's everything with our team. No one's really paying attention. That's overshadowed what we're doing. But I just think it's interesting. So, yeah, I think the end game is we win a college football playoff game, and then it's like, whoa, Colorado. You know what I mean? Winning the Natty, probably not, but it would be pretty sweet. I do think that terrifies me more about Dion leaving is if we won the Natty, but I don't think we're going to win the Natty. We'll talk about Dion leaving later, though. Let's start off with the big win of the week. That's the Bills. Bills got it done. Bills beat Chiefs. Undefeated Chiefs, of course. Putting them at 8-1? I think that's what it is, right? That make them 8-1? Let me check. I want to make sure I'm right here. Yeah, 9-1 makes them 9-1. So great work by the Bills. I did not get to watch this game. It was an excellent Sunday. A lot of good games. I mean, there was one game at every slate. That was, well, I don't know if 1 p.m. was really. So at 1 p.m., I'll just run you through what I watched. So Thursday night, watch Commies Eagles. Second half, did not catch first half. We'll talk about my thoughts on that later. 1 o'clock slate on Sunday, I watched Rams Patriots, checked on Packers Bears, and then went back to Rams Patriots. I have thoughts on that. And then Ravens Steelers. So it was Rams Patriots and Ravens Steelers, what I was paying attention to. Then 4 o'clock, I was at the Cavs game. Got to see them win. They're 15-0 now. But I also missed out, of course, on Bills Chiefs. I asked Genevieve for notes, in which she responded the Bills and then the greater than Chiefs. Not exactly the most in-depth analysis, but I'm not really going to complain. So she did tell me Josh rushed for a clutch touchdown, and based off what I've picked up from Twitter and reading about it, that is what happened. They needed Josh to get him a big score down the stretch. They could have kicked a field goal and went up 5 because they were up by 2, so it was 23-21. They let Josh run it in. That made it 30-21, and that was kind of ball game. Mahomes had a big scramble. They called it back on a flag. That's kind of what I've gleaned from it. Be a huge win for the Bills. I think if the Chiefs were 7-2 and the Bills beat them, it'd be like, wow, cool, the Bills won. But it feels like a big damn deal because the Chiefs were undefeated. And we were starting to get to that freaky point where it's like, are they? Nah. I mean, maybe. Right? So I think that's why it was a big win. I did also catapult Josh to the lead in the MVP rankings, I think. between Lamar taking a loss this week to the Steelers, most likely not going to win the AFC North at this rate, especially because the Steelers still have 2 games against the Browns left, I think. At least I'm pretty sure. I think that both Steelers-Browns games, because they play this week. I think they play down the stretch, too. Maybe I'm wrong. Did the Steelers already play the Browns? Oh, my gosh. No, they didn't. That's what I thought. Yeah, I mean, the Steelers both, Steelers' schedules going forward isn't the easiest. I mean, they have to play the Chiefs on Christmas, but it looks like the Steelers are moving into range to win that division, which is damn impressive. And that kind of drops Lamar to second, even though Lamar's been balling. Josh has been balling too. And to be honest, I think Josh deserves it. So I would like to see Josh win it. I think it's also one of those where, because Lamar won it last year, they're going to feel inclined to give it to Josh. And especially, I said at the beginning of this year, you can go back to my NFL predictions pod, I had the Bills going 10-7. Definitely a low prediction. But at that time, it was like, this Bills team might be the worst Josh has ever played with. Now I look at it, I'm like, this might be the best he's ever played with because he's able to elevate these receivers. Josh is playing the best he's ever played. And by making him the focal point of the offense instead of him and Diggs, it's Josh to anybody. It's actually made the team better. Kind of like the Chiefs somehow got better when they got rid of Tyreek Hill. You have to work harder to figure out ways to win games, and it actually makes you better. And you can just rest on your laurels. And I think Josh deserves the MVP. I said at the beginning of the year, if he wins the division with this team, he should be the MVP, and that is the pace we're on. Now, granted, you could be like, well, the Jets had a terrible season. A lot of people thought they'd have a good one. True. Dolphins obviously had worse season than we imagined. But I think Josh deserves it. I think Josh will end up winning it at this rate, and I think it's wholeheartedly deserved. He's playing great. So, Josh, MVP. He should be. We'll talk about MVP more in a bit, though. Let's talk about my Panthers. Panthers are on bye. Just want to bring out, we are playing the Chiefs this Sunday, and I actually feel really good about it. There's been this big trend on TikTok saying that the Panthers are going to win. I appreciate that we're kind of in the public consciousness again. But I don't know. I don't know if it's good that everyone believes that we're not everyone, but I don't know if it's good that there's like a trend that believes we're gonna win the Super Bowl. I'm not that confident. Super Bowl. Sorry. I was looking at my notes while I was trying to speak. I will stop doing that. I was looking at my notes for what I'm about to talk about. I was trying to plan ahead. Not a good move by me. I should just stick to what I'm talking about. I don't know if it's good that everybody thinks we're going to, or at least, I don't know if everybody actually thinks that, but they're making videos, making jokes that we're going to beat the Chiefs. Probably not good, I guess. It's kind of dangerous, but I kind of have faith. I think this Panthers team's playing tough. I like what we're doing. There is genuinely a slight chance we make the playoffs. And I'm not just saying it like a Dumb and Dumber, so you're saying there's a chance. It is actually like genuinely possible because the Falcons are 6-5. They're on a 2-game losing streak. Okay? They're leading the division. Let's go to their schedule. They play the Chargers, the Vikings, the Raiders, the Giants, the Commies, and the Panthers. They could lose to the Chargers this week. They probably will. Sorry, in 2 weeks. They don't play this week. They're on bye. They could lose to the Chargers in 2 weeks and the Vikings the week after. The Raiders, they probably win. Giants, they probably win. Commanders, they should lose, right? And then you have Panthers-Falcons at the end of the year. If the Panthers are hungry, they could snag that, right? Let's look at the rest of the NFC South. Obviously, the Bucs are the one that I would say probably would win the division. Their schedule is pretty easy coming up. The only good team they really play is the Chargers because they're playing the Giants, Panthers, Raiders, Chargers, Cowboys, Panthers again, Saints. The only theory with the Bucs is this team would be a lot better if it actually had its receivers. Because of all the injuries they sustained, maybe Panthers can sneak in. Let's go to the Saints. Saints have the same record as Panthers, and they still have to play the Rams, Commies, Packers along with Giants, Raiders, Bucks. Let's go to my Panthers schedule real quick. Okay. We play the Chiefs, the Bucks, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Cardinals, the Bucks, the Falcons. Now, I will admit, really good teams. Chiefs, you'd say the Eagles are about there too, right? Cowboys, we can definitely win. Bucks, Cardinals, and Falcons to me are on the same level. It's like none of these games are like shitter teams, but maybe there's some juice. We can pull this out. If we're being honest, I don't really believe it's going to happen, but a part of me, has some hope. And at the end of the day, that's just a healthy relationship with your sports team, right? You got to have a little bit of hope. And if it doesn't happen, I won't be like, wah, wah. I'll be like, oh, well, that's how it is. But there is space for it. I still refuse to give up on the Rams. I want to say this. Right now, you look at the NFC West. It's Cardinals at 6-4 leading it. Rams behind them 5-5. Seahawks behind them 5-5. Niners behind them 5-5. Everybody's 5-5 except the Cardinals. Okay? Cardinals are on bye this week. No, sorry. The Cardinals were on bye last week, weren't they? Yeah. Cardinals were on bye last week. This week they played the Seahawks. They could lose that game very easily, and now everybody's tied. They still have to play the Rams again December 29th. We'll see how that shakes out. I think this is going to be a division that's being decided in the last week of the season. If I was going to bet on one of these teams, if you said everybody's tied up, who do you think is going to come out of these four? I'd bet on the Rams. I trust Sean McVay. I trust Matthew Stafford. I watched him play a Patriots team that isn't very good and barely win last week. But in the same sense, there were times where it was Matthew Stafford made an incredible pass to Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua made an athletic move, got in the end zone. And it's like, how do you stop that? Like Cooper Kupp made an incredible play. He just went out and got 40 yards. They have that big play explosivity that the Cardinals have. But I trust their coach more just because he's won the Super Bowl before. I trust their quarterback more because Stafford is better than Kyler Murray. Sorry, Kyler Murray, you're not better than Matthew Stafford. And the defense is better. Rams have better defense. Not that the defense is elite or anything, but it's better than the Cardinals' defense. So, I don't know. Down the stretch, I see it with this Rams team. They definitely, could just fall apart, but let's look at their schedule too. Might as well, right? So they play the Eagles Sunday Night Football this week. It's actually a pretty damn good game, for being honest. Then they play the Saints, the Bills, the Niners, the Jets, the Cardinals, the Seahawks. A lot of their division games are late. And they're probably going to lose the Bills. They might lose the Eagles Sunday too. But I think it'd be interesting. They win Sunday. That Dolphins loss just pisses me off. Because if they beat the Dolphins on last week on Monday night, well, not last week, but 2 weeks ago on Monday Night Football, November 11th, right? If they would have won that, they would have been on a 5-game winning streak coming into this Sunday Night Football against the Eagles this week. And that would have been huge. Because now you're tied for the top of the division at 6-5 with the Cardinals. And you win on Sunday Night Football, and it's like, boom, we're 7-5. We just beat a team that's leading their division in the Eagles. It makes a big statement. Whereas now, you can beat the Eagles Sunday, but if the Cardinals beat the Seahawks, they still have a game. They're still a game ahead of you in the division. So, and you still got to play every team in your division one more time. That's going to be tough about this Rams team. Is in December, so between the second week of December and the first week of January, 3 out of their 4 games, they're division rivals. Well, they play all their division games late. The other game's the Jets, so they can win that. That's like a guaranteed win. But if you're thinking a 6-win team wins this division, so like the Rams can only lose one more, they can only lose the Bills. It's the only game they're allowed to lose. They probably will lose that game. So it's like they need this Sunday Night Football against the Eagles, and then they're going to have to rip off after that Bill. So they play the Eagles this week, Saints next week, then the Bills, and after that Bills loss, they're going to have to rip off 4 straight against every single team in their division and the Jets. That would be very tough. It's a very tough thing to do. But I'm just saying, out of those 4 teams, I trust that team the most. Maybe it's just because I don't want to come off my hot take at the beginning of the season about how I thought the Rams were going to be Super Bowl contenders. I don't know. I just have faith in this team for some reason this year. I think it's a good team. My 3 hot takes at the beginning of the year were that the Chargers win the division. Not exactly bad. We're going to talk about the Chargers in a second because they're really good. It's they might not win the division, but they're really good. But it's not like, they might be second in the division with 4 losses. They genuinely might go 13-4 and be second in their division. So, in my defense, my other hot take was the Panthers make playoffs, along with, of course, the Rams being Super Bowl contender. So I'm now realizing that apparently those two takes have stuck with me because I was just trying to convince myself maybe the Panthers could sneak in. So I don't really know what the Jets do now. You know what? Screw it. This is time. All right. This is what we're going to do. We're going to play a fun little game. Here's my thing with the Jets. They just lost this week to the Colts. They are having a worse season with Aaron Rodgers than they had with Zach Wilson. I don't know where they go from here. You have Rodgers, but at some point, it's like, do you just try to see who wants to trade for Rodgers? There's no way you run this back. And if you do, you're obviously hiring a new coach. I just don't know what they do. Are you going to draft somebody? That's a terrible spot to be in. I would rather be where the Panthers are at, where it's like you're improving, things are getting better, you're figuring out if Bryce is the franchise guy, or even where the Giants are at, where it's like you're going to get a top pick, potentially number one, you're going to get Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. You're going to feel really good about yourself, and you're going to start up next year potentially trying to be like the Commanders of next year. That's your goal. When you're the Jets, it's like you're going to have to deal with Josh Allen for the next 5 years at least. Probably 10 years, honestly. The Patriots are only going to get better. And Drake May's only going to get better. And then it's like, who knows what goes on with the Dolphins, right? Who knows? But this was supposed to be the time. These last 2 years are supposed to be high time. They're kind of like the Browns in an aspect, where it's like this was supposed to be your time. The worst thing to possibly do is like you're bad for a while, and it's supposed to be high time to be good. And you're still bad. And you actually do worse. Like that's the worst possible thing to happen. Because then it's like, what do you do? Because you're not on the upswing. You put all your eggs in this basket, and the basket, snapped open, and the eggs just splattered all over the floor. You're not going to use them eggs. It's a mess. Go get them. Go clean that up. First of all, wash your hands and figure out what you're making for dinner. Because you're not using those eggs. They just smash all over the floor. Don't stop picking up the yolks. We're clearly not going to use them. Now the dog's in here, and the dog's eating the eggs. Oh my! What are we doing? Stop it! This is a mess. Take the dog outside, okay? The dog's gonna fart. It's gonna smell so bad after all that eggs. It's gonna be terrible. We're putting the dog outside till after dinner. And we're just going out to eat. We're not using the eggs. So I just don't know what the Jets do. So here's the game we're gonna play. I believe many of you are familiar with the classic buddy cop films. Like Lethal Weapon, right? We got Miami Vice, right? Crockett and Tubbs, okay? I guess it's not a film. Well, it is a film. You know what I mean. So we got classic buddy cop duos. Whatever their names are in the French Connection. Axel Foley, Taggart, and Rosewood are a trio. It's not really a buddy cop film. It's definitely a solo, but you know what I mean. And Bogomil is also important. So Bogomil is also, it's kind of a quartet. Taggart, Rosewood, Bogomil, and Foley. But anyways, we're bringing in the NFL's buddy cop duo for next year. That's the head coaching duo of Belichick and Vrabel. So we got Belly and V, and Belly and V are going to be looking at all the teams struggling over halfway through this NFL season. Think about where they'd like to coach next year, because this is potentially the two highest profile coaches in one offseason I can remember happening. Belichick, arguably the greatest coach of all time. At this point, he's literally just going to go to a team to try to break Shula's all-time winningest coach record. That's the goal when you're Belichick, is just rack up as many wins as possible. He doesn't want to rebuild. He's trying to go for the all-time wins record. That's what he wants. Winning a Super Bowl would be cute. That'd be great. But the all-time wins record, really the main thing. Look over at Vrabel. He's looking for his next franchise that he's going to run. He's been with the Browns. I've been misspeaking. I don't know why I thought he was at Ohio State. I guess to me that made a lot of sense for him to be there. He is not Ohio State. Vrabel is coaching with the Browns. I got confused because Vrabel went to Ohio State. To me, it made sense that they would bring him in and use him if they get rid of Ryan Day after this year. That is not what's happening. Vrabel is coaching with the Browns. Okay. So we're going to look at the teams that potentially are going to be getting rid of their coach and see which one of our buddy cop duo would fit their best, or maybe neither of them are interested. Let's take a spin. Here we go. First team up on the board, we get the New England Patriots. Will they stick with Gerard Mayo? I think the likelihood of them sticking with Gerard Mayo, I'm honestly 50-50 on it. I would be surprised if they have one season with him. They know the team is bad, especially when it was Kraft's hand-picked guy. I would be shocked if they got rid of Mayo. To me, this is going to be one of those where we're going to see next year the team's going to be better, and if they're bad again and it's clear he's not right for Drake, they'll go get somebody new. Kind of like a Brandon Staley situation, where early on it was I don't think he's right for Herbert, but it took him a little too long to decide. I think that's how it's going to be with Gerard Mayo. But granted, maybe Mayo's going to impress next year, and it'll be great. So I think that position is safe. Vrabel and Belly and V drive by. They're maybe there's something going on there, but we don't even have a warrant. We don't even have a warrant. Let's get out. And even though they don't play by the books, this time they're deciding to be good cops because this is early on in the film. We're not to the point where shit's hitting the fan and they're just, who cares about warrants? This is a fictional film. It's always funny to me in cop movies. Warrants only matter when they need to narratively. They only care about warrants when it's convenient for the narrative to have them not go somewhere. And they don't care about warrants anymore when they want stuff to happen. It's very funny. The Jets. Belly's got a long history with New York. I don't think he wants it. Plus, he's looking for wins. They're not going to provide. Now, Vrabel's interesting. But I don't think Vrabel wants Rodgers. I think Vrabel wants his guy. And I don't think Rodgers is his guy. So I don't think Vrabel is going to be going to the Jets either. I think, honestly, they're offered the case, and both of them look at each other and say, hell no. Because they don't want to do it. Which I get. So, Jets, no. I think Mike McDaniel's position with the Dolphins is mostly safe, so we're going to move on from them. Let's go to the Las Vegas Raiders. I think Vrabel's thinking about it. Belly's no, not interested. But V's sitting there. He takes out the cigar. He removes the sunglasses. He stares at the case file, and he goes, I'll do. All of a sudden, Stone Cold Steve Austin music hits. Out comes, oh my, is that Deion Sanders? Deion Sanders comes out, and he's like, hey, I'm here about the positions. They go, positions? What are you talking about? The files for the Dallas Cowboys slide out. That's right. That's where I'm a little concerned about. For those of you that tuned into Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul, you might remember watching Michael Irvin, one of the greatest wide receivers in Cowboys history, say that bring up Coach Prime in conversation and say, I got words about him to talk to Jerry about later. I find this very concerning. The Dallas Cowboys are going to have a very, very poor record by the end of this year. They're currently sitting at 3-7. Dak Prescott has been injured. Probably going to be out the rest of the year. They might have a top pick in this NFL draft. Deion Sanders made it very clear that he will make sure Shador goes the team he wants him to go to. I think there's two teams he would like. The Las Vegas Raiders and the Dallas Cowboys. And while I really enjoyed watching him at Colorado, and I would be heartbroken if he leaves, I cannot deny it would be not surprising to me at all if Coach Prime went to Dallas with his son. Twist, I know. We're doing a spinoff in the middle of Belly and V? Yeah, that's right. We're getting Deion's own movie, and it's called America's Team is Back. Because there is nothing that Jerry Jones would enjoy more than being one of the most talked about. Because the Cowboys are already talked about way too much on national television. Could you imagine if they actually had something interesting to talk about? The first father-son coaching quarterback duo in the NFL. I don't think it's ever happened. Maybe it has. I'm not aware of it. Maybe it's happened where a father's coached his son in the NFL, but not he was the quarterback. And he's in. Could you imagine? Like, okay, think about this personally. Think about your father. Could you imagine if you were like the starting quarterback for an NFL team, and before every play you had to hear your dad talk to you through your helmet? You know, I'm thinking about my dad doing that, and it is complete comedy and also something I would hate to happen. I would not enjoy my father coming in the helmet being like, good play back there. You know, you're moving the ball north to south. And that's old school football. That's what I like to see. Not something I would look for. Or like after a bad pass and you just hear his voice and he's like, the hell was that? What are we doing? Stupid. That's stupid. Come on. Step it up. Because that would be my father as an NFL head coach if I was the quarterback. So part of me feels bad for Shedeur. Because I could not even imagine. Could not fathom. That's my concern, is that Coach Prime is going to be taking his talents to Dallas. I think Vegas is honestly less likely. I think Vrabel is honestly very likely in Vegas. And that would give the AFC West head coaches of Andy Reid, Jim Harbaugh, Sean Payton, and Mike Vrabel. That might be the best 4 coaches I've ever seen in a division. 3 out of those 4. Well, I guess I should say. I mean, Jim. Sorry. Yeah, Jim. Yeah, I was about to say. Jim doesn't have a Super Bowl, but he has a national championship, and he's been to the Super Bowl. So I'm saying 2 Super Bowl winning coaches, 1 national champion in college, and then Mike Vrabel, who was obviously, I think, very good. So, just insane. Just absurd. I do think the Raiders very likely for Vrabel. All right, let's keep the show rolling. The Brownies. The Brownies going to get rid of Stefanski? I don't think they should, but I think they might. They come knocking. They say, hey, Bill, shut up. No. Bill would not go back to the Brownies. No way in hell. Vrabel, he's already in the system. Maybe Vrabel wants to. But to be honest, I don't think Vrabel would do it because I don't really think they're going to get rid of Stefanski. I don't think they should. I don't think they will. But the Bengals. Bengals is interesting. Would Vrabel go to the Bengals? I think somebody's going to get the heat for this Bengals season. And it's probably going to be Zach Taylor. I don't think Belly's doing it. I don't. And you're probably thinking, Ryan, you have yet to say a team you think Belly would go to. That's because in the past I thought it'd be the Cowboys. I really did. I thought the Cowboys were going to be the Belly team. But over time, I really think it might end up being Shedeur and Dion. I'm serious. Could you imagine he'd have the best-selling jersey in the NFL? It would be like when Zeke went there times 11. It would be absurd. And the NFL would love it. They would have 6 Sunday Night Football games. They would, not Sunday night, but primetime games. They would have 6 primetime games. They would have the most, it would be them, the Chiefs, the Bills, for the most primetime games next year. And probably the Texans and Lions. Like, those would be the most. But the Cowboys would probably have more than the Texans or Lions. I'm serious. Oh my gosh, it'd be out of hand. And I don't want to see it. I really don't like the Cowboys. And I really like Shedeur. Really do. I like Dion, but goodness. It would be so on brand for something that I liked that became successful. Because last year as a Colorado fan, it was not immediately successful off the rip. We were at the beginning of the year, and then we kind of fell apart. And this year has been really fun for Colorado. It would be so on brand for me to have liked this team and everything was going well, and then rug gets pulled out from underneath me and Coach Dion. It's like monkey's paw just turns it on itself. It's like I love Juan Soto and Shohei Ohtani. One goes to the Dodgers, one goes to the Yankees. Okay. Thanks. All right, let's continue. Bengals, I don't think Belly's doing it. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I don't think he wants to be in the AFC North. I don't think he wants to have to go up against Tomlin, John, Stefanski. That's honestly a really good trio of coaches too. Tomlin, John Harbaugh, Kevin Stefanski. I mean, Stefanski's the worst out of those three. Stefanski's still a pretty good coach. So, all right, AFC South. Anybody here? Titans and Jags. I don't think the Titans will get rid of Brian Callahan just yet. They might give him another year. But the Jaguars, they're getting rid of Doug. To me, this is the Belly team. He gets Trevor Lawrence, a quarterback with talent that he gets to work with. Brian Thomas Jr. is a good wide receiver. He's going to have to rework the defense. But I think this is the one. The only problem is that he has to be against the Texans every year. I think that's the only issue because he's looking for wins. He's looking to try to get that win total up. And to me, the Jaguars are dangerous because you have to go up against Texans every year. And they've been really bad this year. I mean, 2-9. They just got smacked by the Lions. Now, Vrabel, this is also a very likely team. I also want to state that. I could very much see Vrabel going there also. So, this one, they both nod their heads when they get handed this case file. So, let's go to the NFC East. We already discussed the Cowboys. New York Giants. I don't think they should get rid of Daboll. I really don't. If they do, I don't think Vrabel or Belly's doing this one. Really don't. I just don't see it for either of them. This, to me, is a young guy who gets promoted's job. This is a Ben Johnson job, in my opinion. There's really only one more left. I'm saying look through all the divisions. I guess there's two. There's the Saints and the Bears. The Bears is the one a lot of people are talking about for Belichick. I don't see it. I don't think he wants to work with Caleb Williams. And it's not the nails. It's not the cutting of the nails. I think I've already talked about this. He would not want him to scramble in the pocket that much. Caleb Williams has to fundamentally change how he plays. If Bill decides he could get him to do that, though, then I think this would be a good Bill Belichick team. And he could work with his defense, and they could be money with him. So, maybe the Bears. Don't think it's a Vrabel team. To me, I see Vrabel with the Saints. I don't see Belichick with the Saints at all. So that's it. There we go. That was our little check-in on. It's like the parody of Limo and Doug, except it's Belly and V. All right, we got to take on to other things from this week. We got to take the Steelers seriously at this point. We do. Think about in your head what you think the Steelers' record is real quick. They're 8-2. They're on a 5-game win streak, 8-2. Okay? That's a better record than the Baltimore Ravens. It's a better record than the Texans. Sorry, they're 2 games better than both the Texans and Ravens. Okay? It's a better record than the Chargers. It's the same record as the Bills, except the Bills haven't had their bye week yet. So they're 9-2. The Steelers are 8-2. Same record as the Philadelphia Eagles. It's a 2-game better record than the Commies. It's 1 loss and 1 win less than the Lions. Insane. This team most likely is going to win their division. I'm serious. You look at their schedule, they could win. Maybe they might lose only 1 or 2 more games. Serious. So they play the Browns this week in Thursday Night Football. You know what I'm going to take. I'm not spoiling primetime picks when I tell you that they're going to beat them. I'm not. Bengals, Steelers, they should win that too. This Bengals team's floundering. The thing is with the Bengals is I've been dogging on them all year. You guys know this. I don't like the way they're built. I don't. I think Burrow's very talented. But honestly, at this point, I think I've been saying the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL are Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Stroud, Burrow. There's a part of me that just thinks, when I was watching Herbert Sunday, I was like, damn, maybe Herbert is just 5. Hell, maybe he's 4. CJ's not been playing as well. He's having a bit of a sophomore slump, which is understandable. But, I mean, honestly, CJ might be 5 and Burrow's 6. Herb might have hopped 2 spots. Herb gets so hot and cold, though. He really does. But here's the thing. Steelers have that great pass from Russell Wilson to put him over the Commanders. Catches it to Mike Williams, hauls it in at the end of the game. Clutch play. They just did an old-school rough-and-tumble game against the Ravens and won 18-16, grinding it out. And they just said, oh, yeah, let's do it. One of our biggest rivals, let's do it. And they beat them. In a game which I had a lot of people. I actually had the dude at Jersey Mike's Saturday night. Ended up getting a conversation. He asked me how my night was. I was like, oh, I just came back from broadcasting a football game for my college. I do it on the radio, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, you big NFL guy? And I was like, yeah. He's like, you think my Ravens are going to win this week? And I said, well, I will admit, the worst team for the Ravens to play right now is a team with a really good defense and an offense that's improving. And that's exactly what the Steelers are. And the guy next to him was a big Steelers fan. He's like, hell yeah. And so they were kind of, joking back and forth about what was going to happen. And I was like, yeah, it's a big game. So I had a lot of people, including the Jersey Mike's guy, ask me what I thought about this game. And I said, it's a really bad matchup for the Ravens. And Tomlin, because they're the division rival, has a plan. And he's going to execute it. And we'll have to see if Lamar can overcome that plan. Steelers won. Close game. They got it done. And you look ahead, they play the Bengals next week. They can definitely win that too. So this week they're going to play the Browns. Bengals next week. Long rest. And they play the Browns again. That's probably 3 straight wins. They play the Eagles December 15th at 4:25. They might lose that. They might, right? The hard stretch there is at the end of the year, they play Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs. They could go 0-3 there. They could. But you could also tell me that they win all of those except one. You could tell me they go 2-1 there. And I'd also believe you. I think realistically this team at worst ends with 6 losses. At best ends with about 4. But that's probably going to be enough to win this division. Because the Ravens are second place at 7-4. Realistically, you just got to make sure you beat the Ravens again. Because you're going to beat the Browns. You just beat the Bengals at least once. You're fine. That's already 4 wins. And then you beat the Ravens. That's 5 wins. That puts you at 13-4. That'd be good. You just got to make sure you at least split with the Bengals. I mean, you could even lose to the Ravens again. And then, just beat the Bengals twice, Browns twice. That puts you at 12 wins. You're 12-5, even if you lose to the Eagles, Ravens, and Chiefs. So, to me, the Steelers are in really good position. They have won games they're not supposed to, and they've won games they were supposed to. There isn't really any game on this schedule where I'm like, how did they lose that? Except the 20-17 loss to the Cowboys. That was weird. But other than that, you go through their 2 losses are to the Cowboys and Colts. And both of them are 3-point games. That's the difference. And the thing is, it's like they won that game because Justin Tucker missed. I'm not going to lie to you guys. That's all I've heard is that they lost. I mean, they won because Justin Tucker missed. And, I've been, I very much prescribe to the thought of sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And if you're going to win championships, you got to be a little bit of both. And the Steelers are good, and they're lucky. And there's a real chance that if all else fails, I honestly think this team could get a playoff win. They're going to upset somebody in the playoffs. It's very likely. And if I'm the Ravens and I'm the 6th seed, and I got to go up against the Steelers team, I'm like, oh my gosh. That would suck to end a great Lamar season with probably the best offense you've ever put around him to a Steelers team that's just going to grind you to a halt and beat you 21-17. That's how they'll do it. So you gotta give this Steelers team credit. The commies met their end at the hands of the Eagles. There is a little bit of that classic, everybody's been talking about, that classic Cliff Kingsbury stall out. That was a lot of cool. It'd be like if my first name was Brock, like Brock Klinger. Just a lot of, the commies are slowing down. You look at the commies' schedule, though. Don't really think there's too much cause for concern because they're playing the Cowboys, Titans, Saints, Eagles, Falcons, Cowboys. They might lose one of those, right? Like probably Falcons or Eagles. Every single one of those games, other than that, they should win. They were playing their best football early, and that's fine because that's when they played all the best teams. I will say they have had one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. I don't know if that's statistically backed up, but you just look at it. Let me read you everybody they've played. They've played the Bucs, the Giants, the Bengals, the Cardinals, the Browns, the Ravens, the Panthers, the Giants, the Bears, the Steelers, the Eagles, the Cowboys, Titans, Eagles, Saints, Falcons, Cowboys. Read you their whole schedule right there. The best teams they've played are the Ravens, the Steelers, the Eagles. That's the best ones. And they've lost to the Ravens, the Eagles, and the Steelers. The other loss they have is to the Bucs. I'm really starting to feel like this team, and I'm not even I take that back. I'm not even starting to feel like, I've been saying this for a while. I think this team's good. I think this team will make the playoffs. I think this team will be really interesting next year. As long as Jaden Daniels doesn't take too much of a sophomore slump, this team will be really interesting next year. But have you noticed that they're talking about them less? They're pushing them less because they're very aware of the fact they're probably going to be a first round out. I just think it's funny. It's like how the Vikings lost one game and all of a sudden nobody talks about the Vikings now. Just funny how the coverage flips. Now they're starting to finally talk about the Steelers. At this point, half of this podcast is just me bitching and moaning about how some of these teams are covered. And on the one hand, I get it. Everybody has their favorites. I do too. But this is also a podcast that is, I plug in the mic to my computer and I just roll. I am not a nationally broadcast television show or one of the top podcasts in the nation where millions of dollars are being made. I don't make a cent off this. So, technically I'm losing money for paying for my editor. Like, not editors and someone who edits my podcast. I'm talking about like the thing I use to record and then edit these. You know I don't have anybody that edits these for me. It's me. Come on. That's why I pretty much never take anything out because I'm just like, well, I said it. Probably better off I did take some of these pieces out. Sometimes I just ramble on and on. So. The Bears are funny because everybody was like, oh my gosh, look at all this talent they put around Caleb. Look how good they are. Oh my goodness. And it's like, they might end at like 5 or 6 wins. And I just think everybody got real excited a little too early. I just think it's kind of funny. They're going to play the Lions on Thanksgiving. And they're going to get slaughtered. It is going to be a monumental loss. I'm curious, what's the Lions' schedule? Like, what are the odds they don't... Oh, never mind. It actually gets pretty tough. I was just wondering, like, what were the odds that, like, they only lose, like one more game? It's like, no, they actually have some tough games because they still have the Colts this week, the Bears next week, but then it's like Packers, Bills, back-to-back weeks. That could be tough. And then Bears again... And the Niners could maybe squeak one out late in December 30th. It's a primetime game, probably Monday Night Football, I'm assuming. So it's December 30th, a Monday. Yeah. And then Vikings last week, so a bit of a tougher schedule, and I realize if they end with one loss, if they go 16-1, that's really impressive. Like, really impressive. The only team to beat them is the Bucs. Just crazy. All right, Sunday Night Football was a certified hood classic. Herbert got to play the way I always dreamed he could play. They were letting him bomb it downfield. They were letting him do what he wanted to late in that fourth quarter. I will say, they went up 24-3 at half, and they ended the game. What was that? What was the final score of that? 34-27? I mean, a little too close for comfort, I will say. Yeah, 34-27 is final score. Yeah, definitely a little too close. A little concerning because it's like, on the one hand, are the Chargers a good team because they pulled that out? Or is it, wow, they almost blew that, they got lucky at the end? I'm leaning towards more of the second one. But my Herbert bias wants me to say that was a Herbert national televised game that everybody went, wow, look at Justin Herbert. Because he was making wow, look at Justin Herbert plays. He was making the plays I love for him to make. He was bombing it downfield to Ladd McConkey. He was making great catches. And Collinsworth's on commentary like, oh, and he's smiling. Look at that. That's genuinely what he said. He goes, and he's smiling. Because Ladd McConkey was smiling after he caught that. And he's like, they found a new go-to guy on this Chargers team. We remember they had Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. He's like, they're starting to find a core once again here with Ladd McConkey and Johnston, Joshua Palmer. I laugh, but that was like bar for bar what he was saying. And so I'm a little torn. But I do think this Chargers team is very good. And I do think that their defense is undeniably good. And their running game is one of the best in the NFL. And you knew that's how Harbaugh was going to want to play. I do get frustrated because I wish he would let Herbert bomb down the field all the time. But Herbert is having his best statistical season since his rookie year. His best statistical season, period. But I do just want to point out that rookie year was obviously tremendous. He's probably third in MVP right now. Probably, honestly. It's been a really good season for the Chargers. And I think they might win a playoff game. If they play the Texans first round, there'd be a part of me that thinks maybe they could win. Like, Harbaugh's gone playing really well. It's a really good team. And I'm really glad they beat the Bengals. It's really exciting that they're having another primetime game this week. I will also state, I feel like we're starting to look at the playoffs, right? We're starting to think about it right now. I just feel like the end game is a Bills-Chiefs AFC Championship. Even if it lines up the seeding that it's the divisional, that's the end game. I really hope it lines up for the AFC Championship. Chiefs are 1 seed, Bills are 2 seed. But to me, I feel like that's what we're moving towards. I think, in my mind, those are clearly the two best teams in the AFC. The Ravens have an offense that I think is better than the Chiefs' offense, and I'd say about as good as the Bills' offense. But the defense is not there. It's not. They really miss Mike McDonald. And that's what's holding them back. And I think the Bills, like I said, I think this is the best team Josh Allen's had. And the Chiefs just get it done. This is the best defense Mahomes has ever had. And while Mahomes might be having his worst year, kind of doesn't matter. And I don't know. I just think that's what we're moving towards. I think that's the end game. As far as the NFC goes, it's somebody against the Lions. And maybe it is the Packers. Maybe I was right at the beginning of the year. As much as I like this Texans team as good as I think they are, when you put them in January against the Chiefs or against the Bills, I'm not going to pick it. Not at this rate. Maybe the Texans are going to get hot in December, and we'll see. But the offensive line is just not good enough. And I always say in sports it always feels like it comes a year earlier than it does a year later. Yeah, maybe I was wrong to pick the Texans a year early because a lot of people were like, in 2 years it'll be a really good team. And I picked them a year early because I was like, yeah, Texans will get done. I do think the Packers are as good as I expected them to be. It's just the Lions are even better than I realized they'd be. I was a little worried the Lions might take a step back, and they've improved. And that's really a testament to Dan Campbell. But I just look at the NFL, and I'm like, I think we're destined for that Bills-Chiefs AFC Championship. And I would like to believe this is the one Josh finally gets it done. I don't know. I think it's really interesting. So that's just what I'm seeing at the moment. All right, marquee match. Well, I want to say one more thing. It would be really cool next year if we got like a Commanders-Texans Super Bowl. And it's like, oh yeah, two new young quarterbacks, two teams we haven't seen here before. That'd be really cool. Granted, Lions, Bills are also like you haven't seen these two teams here in a long time. Obviously, the Lions especially. Bills, haven't been there since the 90s. I get that. That'd be super cool too. But the Commies, Texans would be really cool because it's like a third-year quarterback versus a second year. That'd be really neat. Maybe that's Super Bowl 59. Oh, wait, this year's 59. Oh, my goodness. That'd be Super Bowl 60. Super Bowl 60. Maybe that'll be Super Bowl 60. We'll see. All right. Marquee matchups. 1 p.m. You look at this week. I'm going to be honest. There's nothing really good. We got Titans-Texans. Hell no. Vikings-Bears might be closer than you expect. Maybe that's the argument. Commies-Cowboys should be a smacking. Patriots-Dolphins, I could try to argue it, but I don't really think the Dolphins are allowed to be a marquee matchup team because I don't think they're fun to watch. They're just not anymore. Chiefs-Panthers is honestly what I'm going to go with. Just because if the Panthers beat the Chiefs and give them their second loss of the year, that would be insane. And I guarantee most of you haven't watched a Panthers game this year, because why would you? This is probably the one to watch. See how we hold up against one of the NFL's best, probably like arguably the best defense in the NFL. See how the Panthers play against it. See how Bryce Young plays. So I'm going to put that as a marquee matchup. Is it biased? Yes. But I'm doing it. Why not? 4 p.m., Cardinals versus Seahawks. This one has a lot of divisional implications. Obviously, Cardinals in the lead by the division by 1 game. Seahawks win this. They tie it up. And really open it wide open because then everybody would have 5 losses in the NFC West. Other game at 4 p.m., Packers-Niners. This one is interesting for the NFC West standings, and also the Packers are just good. Just a good team. I'm not going to lie. They should probably beat the Niners, but it's always fun. The LaFleur, Shanahan, I almost said McVay. McVay. Oh, my gosh. LaFleur versus Shanahan matchups are always gas, so this one will be good. Primetime picks, Thursday Night Football, Steelers over Browns by a lot. It's not. A lot of Browns fans I know are always like, oh, we got the Bengals number. Well, the Steelers always have the Browns number. Always. Tomlin does not mess around with divisional matchups. I wonder if I can look that. Like, what is Tomlin's career record just in the AFC North? Can I just find that out? Yeah, let's do this. What's Tomlin's all-time record? Yeah, this is incredible. Yeah, this is good. All right, here we go. Tomlin's all-time career record against the AFC North for his career. 92-40 with 1 tie. I'll give you the percent real quick. That's, first of all, very impressive. 43. So it's about 67% win. Let's do John Harbaugh. Oh, wait a minute. All right. Yeah, never mind. I was like, is this Tomlin or is this Steelers all time? No, it's Tomlin. We're good. What's John Harbaugh's? Is Harbaugh better? So what, 67%? What is Harbaugh's? That's what I want to know. Let's go. All right, come on, StatMuse. Okay. Well, Harbaugh is 167 and 103. Let's look up Ravens AFC North record 2008 to 2024. 167 and 103. So that's going to be, I wonder what that percent is. Let's look it up. 167. Aha. Harbaugh's is 49. Over 50 is impressive because basically when he goes up against the divisional, he is winning more than often. And the fact it's not like 55, the fact it's in the 60s, very impressive. Like very, very impressive. Now let's do the real fun one. What do you think the Patriots' AFC East record is with Bill Belichick? I guarantee it's absurd because that division is not, you know what I mean? It was not very good when Belichick was coaching. When did Belichick start coaching the Patriots, though? I have to remember what year. All right, January 27th, 2000. Okay, here we go. So, the 2001 season to the, what was his last year there? Last year, so 23. Here we go. 261, 110. What is that number? 110 divided by 261, 42. Oh my gosh. Belichick had a 68%. 1% better than our very own Mike Tomlin. Not our very own. I mean, I don't know him. But that's pretty crazy when you think about it. That just puts in perspective how good Tomlin is. That's absurd. I'm glad I figured that out live on why did I misspeak? Live on air with all of you, because that's pretty cool. All right, next for primetime picks, Sunday Night Football, Rams over Eagles. Yes, I believe the Rams are going to beat the Eagles. I just can't give up on this Rams team. I think there's something here, and I think this would be a statement win for them. It'd be a lot more interesting if they didn't lose to the Dolphins somehow Monday Night Football 2 weeks ago, but whatever. So, Monday Night Football, Chargers versus Ravens. Two of my favorite quarterbacks in the game. My top three obviously being Baker, Lamar, Herb, and then Drake's starting to sneak in. Bryce is making a comeback. It's like the Undertaker, dead man walking out here. Bryce is making a comeback. If Bryce ends up being the franchise guy for the Panthers, he's going to probably end up being my favorite quarterback in the league because big Panthers guy. But Chargers versus Ravens. This is so tough. The Harbaugh battle. I love we're getting this on prime time. I honestly think the Chargers will win this. The thing that's interesting is that the run game is what makes the Chargers tick. That's what they go to Herb when they need to, but the running game is their big bread and butter. The Ravens' running defense is really good. It's their pass defense that's bad. So Jim Harbaugh is going to have to use Herb to his full ability. So this is genuinely a scenario in which if he lets Herb play the way I want him to let Herb play, they are better off. So he should listen to me. He should let Herbert air it out. He should let Herbert do what he wants. That's how they're going to win this game. That's really what it comes down to. Because Lamar's going to do what Lamar's going to do. Derrick Henry's going to do what Derrick Henry's going to do. You need to trust Herbert to put you in this game. Because you're not going to be able to rely on J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards the whole time. They're still going to make some big plays. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying bench them in fantasy. But this game's going to come down to Herbert. And I'm going to put my faith in Justin Herbert. And if he wins this game, he wins back-to-back primetime games. Because you know primetime games help drive the narrative. Nationally televised games help drive the narrative. If he wins this, people are going to be like, whoa, Herbert's an MVP candidate. It's going to surge. It's going to be a skyrocket. He will probably become second behind Josh Allen. And the Ravens have their fifth loss this season, kind of locking up the fact that they have to play for a wild card spot. And the Ravens always play really well when they have to, be fighting for that wild card spot. We've seen them play really well in that position before. Lamar does well when the chips are stacked against him. So. All right, that's it for NFL this week. Very excited. It is a crying shame that we just had an action-packed day, and I missed the majority of it because that was the Cavs game. It's a great time at the Cavs game. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, come on, just bad luck. Just bad luck. I did still get to watch Sunday Night Football, which was good though. Ramblings, reels, and writings. I don't even think we're going to spend much time on this. I probably won't even make a section on it. I don't I'm going to see Red 1. I don't care if the reviews are bad. I think it looks fun. I'm going to go see it. I'm seeing Gladiator 2 this week. Cannot wait. Very excited. I've been enjoying The West Wing. In the span of about a week, I watched 6 episodes. That's a lot for me. I've actually been slowing down my reading of The Stand because I was enjoying it so much. I was enjoying West Wing. I spent one night where I watched like 2 episodes at like 2 a.m. Is really good. Really recommend it. If you're even slightly interested, it lives up to the expectation. I love it. It's very good. Really love it. Really like it. So it's been good. All right. That's it from me. I will see you all in the next one. If you listened to my episode 117, that was just me rambling about college football. I really appreciate that because that one was super off the cuff and was quite a passionate podcast for me. I really enjoyed doing those podcasts that are just off the cuff because that's when you get my most passionate. You get passionate Ryan on the mic. A bit out of hand, but it's entertaining. So, catch you on the next one. Thanks for stopping by. I'm out.